Okay, day 439. Today, what we're doing is we're adding to our comparable sales list. All right. If you remember, what we've been doing is we've been consolidating a list in the Birmingham, Alabama market for properties that have been sold by zip code, bed bath count, year built, so price per square foot, so date, the lot sizes, the neighborhoods or subdivisions that they're in, the conditions of their home for the last 12 months. Now, what I've been doing is keeping up with properties that are now coming on the market. And here's why, right? If you understand that interest rates are primarily driven by the spread between the 10-year treasury yield and also the interest rate of the 10-year yield, then you understand that as these interest rates fluctuate from up and down over the past 12 months, and the spread historically has been about 1.5% to 2%, but it's gone as high as 3%. As these interests go up, your affordability goes down, right? So your purchase price that you're willing to pay for an investment property is going to naturally follow that correlation. Now, if you don't pay attention to what properties are coming onto the market for, then you run the risk of using the wrong estimate for your comparable sales value. Now, here's what I've been filtering on. If I've been filtered on just the Birmingham market, right? I'm looking at 4-bedroom plus homes, single family homes here, and I'm only looking at properties that are coming on the market in the last 3 days. Okay, so these are as fresh of listings as you can get. And I saw this property, 125 grand, 4-bed, 1-bath, 1466 square foot. Great. That's a great example because I've been looking at a lot of properties that are 3-bedroom plus 1,200 square feet plus because I was looking for opportunities to add value to the home. What do I mean by that? I'm renovating the home. I am adding bedrooms where I can because Section 8, or now what is called as the Housing Choice Voucher Program, pays the rent and allocates the voucher sizes based on the bedroom counts. Now, might they care about bathrooms? Sure. Might a second bathroom rent out a lot easier? Absolutely. All those things still apply. But from an appraiser standpoint, if I'm looking to use the BRRRR strategy, which stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat, I need to understand what is my confidence in the after repair value. And here's why, right? Let's take an example. If you were to buy a property for $20,000 cash and you spend $50,000, 50, to renovate the property, but now you're able to make that property worth $100,000. Well, guess what? All of a sudden now you just created $30,000 of equity. And now you can go get a loan for about 70%, maybe get like here 75, but let's choose 70%. So you're able to get a loan for 70% of the new after repair value of $100,000. You can get back out $70,000 in the form of loan proceeds. What does that mean? You just got back out the $70,000 that you originally invested in that property. So now you can take that same $70,000, leave that $30,000 of equity in the property, rent it out, make some cash flow, hopefully. But now you take the same $70,000 you invested and put it towards another property. That is the beauty of the BRRRR strategy, because what is the alternative? You might typically go for saving up your money from your full-time job to put towards a 20% down payment. And then after you buy that property, hopefully cash flows, hopefully makes you a little bit of money. But after that, you're saving up again to put 20% down on the next property. And that's why it's such a slow process. Okay. Now, again, that whole strategy depends on you getting an ARV correct, right? So let's say for this property, 742 82nd Place, Birmingham, Alabama. Let me just write down this address. So as I talk through it, I'm also being efficient with my time, putting in the URLs. This is a 4-bed, 1-bath, 1466 square foot, 1466. This was built in year 1947. This is being listed for 125. So on $1 per square foot, it is equals 125 divided by 1466 is $85, and this is listed today. So you can see that this property is actually being listed on a lower dollar per square foot percentage compared to this property, even though it's in the same zip code, but they might be in completely different neighborhoods. So this property, that old property was in South Highlands. This property, if I were to scroll out, is in Southeast Lake. Okay, Southeast Lake. Southeast Lake. And you see that other properties I've seen in Southeast Lake were being listed for $130 a square foot, $89 a square foot, and this is back in July. Let's see if this one property sold. This property sold July 11th. Yep, sold July 11th. And this property's condition is probably a little bit better, right? You think about it, 4-bed, 1-bath, 600 square feet, pretty decent conditions. So now I'm refreshing my brain as I remember and recall what other properties have sold in this area and what did they sell for $1 per square foot perspective. Now for this property, if I were to look at the condition of the home, it is okay. It's not as nice as the other one, but it's solid. It's rental grade. I mean, there's some carpeting that I would like to get it removed because that's a personal preference. I don't really want to deal with carpet because you're probably going to replace it every single time you turn over the unit, so you must get rid of it now, right? So you might do some refinishing. So average kitchen and bathroom, average, some carpet needs to be replaced. And do we need a paint job on this property? Let's see. There's some, these ceilings need some work. Ceilings might need a little work with paint job. Okay, so now I have a general condition of the home. There's no garage, no basement, and no HOA. This property was 7,000 square feet, I think. 7,400 square feet. Let's see. For the lot size. 7,405. Okay. So now I have all these details. Ideally, in a perfect world, right? What would this be? What would a perfect comp be for this property? Well, if this property in 746 or 738 right next door with the same bed, bath count, square footage, lot size, finishes, quality, etc., that would be a perfect comp. But this is why comping is an art, not a science. But as you cross big man-made borders, such as this I-59, or you go across, what's this, a railroad? Yeah, or unless you go across a railroad tracks. I mean, now you're in completely different neighborhoods. So these are all the factors that you want to consider and keep in the back of your mind regarding whether or not that is going to be a good comp. Because if your appraiser from your lender gives you an appraised value that you don't necessarily agree with, what are you going to use to challenge or to appeal that appraisal? And when you go in and challenge that appraisal, you're going to have to provide substantial evidence to justify it. So that's why having a list like this for whatever market you're investing in, by your zip code, and you just got to do this one property a day, right? It's super straightforward. You might spend a little bit more time when you first get into the market, but nowadays I only look at one property every day in this market because that's all I have the time for. But really, that's all I want to do because I just want to see what's going on with the market, especially on a dollar per square foot perspective and whatever zip code they're in. So that's what I do personally. All right. So now, if I were to analyze this property as a investment property, let's just go with it, right? Let's plug in this details. Let's see what this property would cash flow, quote unquote. So let's go ahead and do this. Start a new file. 1212. Great. Now, 125 grand for my renovations, I'm going to go right here to my rehab calculator. I'm assuming maybe $3,000 of some roof repairs in case some ceiling issues I need to get rid of. Got $500 for landscaping to keep the place tidy. I'm going to assume that I need to repaint half the home, 1466 divided by 2. And I'm going to assume I need to do about 500 square foot of flooring because I'm assuming there's 500 square foot of carpeting in this area. Just using a very rough estimate, right? You got some here. And if I have leftover, then I can just use that to refinish some of the hardwood floors, assuming those are hardwood floors right there. Okay. So now for this property, I don't need to renovate the bathroom. I'm going to replace one of the toilets with a high pressure flush toilet in row 132 so I can prevent any clogged toilet calls. And I have high pressure flush toilets at home and also at our Airbnbs, and we've never gotten a clogged toilet call before. So I'm going to keep it that way. For $450, $500 to get a high pressure flush toilet installed. I mean, if you ever had to call a plumber out there for a clogged toilet, that's at least $150, $200. And you had to replace the toilet again later. That might be $200. You might as well spend the money now up front so that you don't waste the energy of dealing with those issues and having that drain your time, energy, and then put you in a state of mind where you don't want to do this anymore, right? Don't do that to yourself, okay? Play the game to be sustainable long-term. All right, so I got about 12 grand of rehab right here. Now for my rent, if I go to affordablehousing.com and I go to the market rent estimator underneath the right here into the owner section, I'm going to plug in the address, plug in the bedroom count, and now I'm going to see that the average rent for 25 units within 2.62 mile radius is $1,498. I'll use $1,498 here for now, but I really think it's going to be $1,400, but I'll use $1,498 for now. All right. Now for my property tax number, I'm going to come here and I'm going to get this number right here from the payment calculator, $100. Obviously, you should double check with your county assessor records before you do anything, but I'm going to use that $100 right here. And the homeowner insurance estimate right here is 97. So I'm going to multiply that by 1.2 to add a 20% premium because I'm assuming the insurance company is going to view this asset as a riskier asset. So they're going to charge a higher risk premium versus a primary residence property. Now that I got 10% from my rents set aside every single month for future capital expenditures, right? I am not replacing the HVAC, the roof, or water heater right now because I didn't see a need to. So I know those things are going to get replaced at some point. That's why I'm setting aside 10% of the rents every single month, because otherwise you will be overestimating your profitability because you are underestimating your expenses. You know you're going to have to do those expenses and those investments. So that money is not yours. So put them aside now and don't trick yourself, all right? Then I got 10% set aside for property management, and I got 5% set aside for vacancy expenses. So on this property, if I do a 25% down on this property, an F19, and my down payment is going to be calculated as to my F19 times B4. I got 2.5% for closing costs, $12,000 for repair. My finance amount is going to be equals to B4 minus my cash down payment. And right now I'm seeing interest rates about 7.5%. This property, if I am able to get it as a 4-bedroom and rent it out for $1,498, and I can buy this property for $125, my rehab on this property would be $12,179. My down payment would be 25% with a 7.5% interest rate. So I can cash for $252 a month on this property, assuming a cash on cash of 6.5. Now, 6.5 is not that attractive, right? But let's say your target return is 10%, and this is not investment advice. We're not soliciting any investments on this call. We're simply showing you all the work we do every single day to understand how to adjust up and down the levers to determine what is a deal, quote unquote, for yourself based on your own criteria, your own strategies, your own portfolio diversification goals. And that's only something that your own investment professional can answer for you. So if I were to say, hey, watch what happens to this cash and cash return number as I lower this to 100 grand. Okay, now all of a sudden at 107, this still meets my criteria, right? I would be willing to give a offer for 107 on this property, assuming my rehab is only 112,000, right? Just keep things simple. 25% down, 7.5% interest rate, 1498 is the rent, and my cash flow is 346. This is the 10% return. Now, if I go talk to a property management company and say, hey, dude, 1,500 is a little aggressive. If you do 1,400, which is much more reasonable, now all of a sudden it's 7.86. So now if your rent goes down by $100 because you got a reality check from a property management company, and you go to 100 grand, you might have to go to 98. Yeah, 98. So now, because your rent dropped down from 1,498 to 1,400, you can now cash with 320. That'll still yield a 9.8% return, close enough to your 10, but now you can only pay 98 instead of 107. And that's what happens when you get better information. You don't get emotional to the deal. Don't get attached to it. You go and you reach out to your network. You find out, what does a property manager reasonably expect that your property is going to lease out for based on your condition in your home, right? Just remember, this is a 4-bed, 1-bath. If it's a 4-bed, 2-bath, it might rent out faster. Go figure, right? But you got to deal with the information that you have and then assess whether or not that's a risk you want to take on. Because not only do you have financial risk from your underwriting here, you also have execution risk. What's execution risk? It's whether or not your contractor is going to show up on time, do what he or said they're going to do. What if your Section 8 inspection fails and you have another 2 or 3 months of holding costs because you got to get rescheduled? It happens. What if your tenant trashes your home? It happens. These are all the risks that are associated with real estate investing. And you have to understand at what number, cash and cash, whatever that yield is, makes sense for you. Some folks don't even care about cash flow. They just say, if I can buy $1 million home in Southern California, but it goes up 5% every single year, I mean, that's $50,000. They might not care about $300 of cash flow a month. Right? To each their own. So I hope this was helpful, everybody. If you guys want to copy the spreadsheet, go to affordablehousing.io. Click on the Get Deal Analysis Tool section. Put in your name, your email, your phone number. That's the fastest way we get to copy the spreadsheet. And if you guys like the spreadsheet or liked how we went about this live, leave a comment below. And I didn't make the spreadsheet from scratch, right, guys? I got it from a few other folks, a few different spreadsheets. Modified, I tweaked it with my own experience, my own markets. It's going to be different for every market. But that's the fastest way I can analyze the deals so that I can quickly realize whether or not something's worth my time. All right. I hope you all have an amazing Thursday. I'll see you tomorrow for day 440. Have a good night, everybody. See you all tomorrow.
Don't you care?
I just want to ask, the ARV the same as in other markets? The Birmingham, I just want to ask if finding ARV the same as, yes, finding the ARV, the structure is the same in the markets, but you got to understand what your neighborhoods and how that differs from one another, right? In some areas, some neighborhoods might say, hey, we don't pay a premium for properties over 1,800 square feet, right? Birmingham is a very street by street type of market. So you got to understand your areas and have local boots on the ground. Every single market is going to be a little different. Great question. Thank you for the question. I appreciate it. All right. I'll see you all tomorrow.